No one remembered my birthday. But that night my brother's wife posted a video. Surprise. The car's yours, courtesy of the best parents ever. I closed my laptop, ended every shared payment and went to bed. 2 days later my mom showed up trembling saying, "I saw this on Facebook and my whole body went cold. Then hot. Then numb." Polly's brother's wife posted one of those overly fancy videos with brilliant lyrics, upbeat music, and her annoying voice narrating it all as if it were the happiest day of the year. Robert, my brother, was standing in front of his brand new black SUV, his head in his hands, like he couldn't believe it. Behind him the driveway was packed with people. Balloons, a big banner that said, "Happy birthday, Rob." Even a catering table. My dad handed him the keys and everyone clapped their hands. Polly turned the camera to my parents and said, "Look at these two." The best parents in the world had just given their son a brand new car. Surprise. And I was just sitting there. Silent. They bought him a car. For our birthday. And they hadn't even texted me. Not even a happy birthday, or an emoji or a stupid meme about shipping. Nothing. I closed the video and scrolled down. There were also photos. Robert cutting a cake in the shape of a steering wheel, hugging his mom, fake laughing with friends he hadn't seen in years. And no sign of me. No, "Happy birthday, Rob and Louise." No mention of the twins, no label, no photo, no hint that I was ever part of this family. What was worse was that I had spent the entire day convincing myself that they were on their way. I made a spinach and artichoke dip from scratch. I baked the lemon cake that my dad begged me to take with me for the holidays. I even served better food. I don't know why I expected anything different. I hadn't really celebrated in years, but I thought maybe this time would be different. I had my own house now. My own business. I thought maybe that meant something. I live 40 minutes away. It's not a plane. I texted Robert around 8:15, after the sun had set and the food was getting cold. "Happy birthday to us, brother." He replied almost immediately. "Thank you." Just that. No you too, no heart, no joke, nothing. Like I was a fangirl congratulating a celebrity. I didn't cry. I didn't throw anything. I just sat there staring at my phone thinking about the last decade. Everything I'd done for him. All the times I covered his share of the rent when he was still pretending to live independently. All the times I bailed him out of credit card debt. Paid for half of his wedding. Helped him get that crappy personal trainer certification he never used. And our parents always had some excuse for him. He's trying. He's sensitive. He's had a rough year. Meanwhile, I was working 14-hour days, opening my own bakery from scratch, delivering cakes on the weekends, doing my own bookkeeping at 2 a.m. with no help whatsoever. And somehow I was the one who was forgotten. I closed my laptop. I opened the banking app. First, I canceled the automatic deposits to the joint family account. I'd been quietly helping them with the mortgage since Dad lost his second job, and they never asked questions. They just assumed it would always be there. Then I deactivated the card my mom used for groceries. I closed the gas card I had added Robert to. I deleted all my information from the joint utility bill. Then I turned off my phone, went upstairs and went to bed. The food remained on the table until the next morning. I didn't even bother to clear it away. And for the first time in my life I didn't feel guilty. Only emptiness. And maybe that was the beginning. 2 days later there was a knock at my door. Not a text. Not a call. A knock. It was around noon. I had just come back from the bakery and was halfway through sorting invoices when I opened the door and saw my mom standing there, holding her purse like it was about to be taken from her. She looked shaken. A little pale. And that alone told me something was up. My mother doesn't do unannounced visits unless there's a crisis. I didn't invite her in. Just stood there in the doorway waiting. She gave me this confused little smile and said, "Sweetheart, what happened? Why can't I make payments from the family card where you used to send money?" I didn't even blink. "You really don't know?" She actually tilted her head and asked what I meant. Like she was playing dumb, or really was that out of touch? I'm still not sure which would have been worse. "You forgot my birthday." I said it plainly. No drama, no raised voice. Just facts. Her smile didn't drop. Actually widened. Like I was being silly. "Elizabeth, are you joking? You're offended over such nonsense and canceled all the payments?" Nonsense. That was the word that did it. That was the word that took every ounce of sadness, hurt, and confusion I'd been pushing down for years and turned it into something sharp. I always helped Robert. I covered his bills. I gave you and Dad money without asking questions. I made sure everything was taken care of so you could sleep at night. And all I ever wanted, literally the bare minimum, was to feel like I mattered. She interrupted me, said they had been so busy with guests and planning the party. It just slipped their mind. Slipped your mind. I repeated it back to her like I was testing how those words even sounded. Because how do you forget your daughter's birthday when it's the same day as your son's? When you had twins. When you were there for the whole birth. She started talking over me again, saying something about how we could do something next weekend if I wanted. She said Robert didn't ask for the car, that it was their idea, that he didn't even know he was getting it. I didn't care. It wasn't about the car. It was about standing in front of a screen, watching the people I grew up with throw a party for one half of a pair and pretend the other didn't exist. I cut her off. You never loved me. You loved what I did for you. You loved that I sent money, that I didn't complain, that I took care of things. You loved the version of me that asked for nothing and kept her mouth shut. That version is gone. She stood there blinking like she was waiting for a punchline. I told her she needed to leave. That I didn't want to hear another excuse. That I wasn't going to be the backup plan when the favorite child ran into trouble or forgot to Venmo back his gas money. She didn't argue. Just turned around and walked down the steps, slower than usual. Maybe expecting me to change my mind. I didn't. I closed the door. I knew it wasn't over. People like that don't just let things go. They wait. They wait for the next crisis to drag you back in. It started the next morning. 2 missed calls from Polly. 1 voicemail from my dad. I didn't listen to any of them. I just stared at the screen while sipping my coffee, watching the notifications roll in like slow, inevitable waves. By noon, Robert texted me. What the hell did you say to Mom? She came home crying. No mention of my birthday. No, hey, I'm sorry. Just straight to the guilt trip. I didn't respond. A few hours later, another text from Polly. I don't want to get involved, but you're making things harder for everyone. That one actually made me laugh. I was making things harder. I had been bailing them out financially for the last 4 years. They were living a lifestyle I quietly funded, and the second I pulled away, suddenly I was the problem. That night, I got a message request on Instagram from some cousin I hadn't spoken to in years, saying hey, I don't know what's going on, but maybe you should just talk to your mom? Life's short. Sure. Life's short. Short enough to waste on people who forget your birthday while buying your twin brother a new car. It was bizarre watching them all scramble now that the ATM was offline. As if they didn't realize where the money came from. As if they thought I just liked paying for things. I didn't answer anyone. I didn't owe anyone a response. Let them talk. Let them try to spin it. 2 days passed with silence. Then Tuesday morning I was restocking flour at the bakery when my assistant came into the back and said there was someone waiting for me out front. It was Polly. Wearing sunglasses inside, holding her phone like it was a weapon. She didn't even say hello. Just launched into it. Robert got into a car accident. Minor. No one hurt. But there was some issue with the registration and he hadn't paid a fine from last year. Long story short, he was arrested. They were holding him until bail was posted. I blinked. She looked at me like I had missed the point. He needs help, Louisa. It's $1,800. We can pay you back. I didn't even ask why she didn't call her own parents. I didn't ask why my mom or dad weren't fronting the cash for their golden child. I just stared at her, wondering how she managed to look both angry and desperate at the same time. We know you have it, she said. You have the bakery. You're doing well. She actually said that. I wiped my hands on my apron and looked her in the eye. Let him finally start taking responsibility for his actions. Then I turned around and walked into the back. I heard her say something under her breath, something half-whispered and bitter. But I didn't care. For the first time in years, I wasn't the one being used. I wasn't the one cleaning up the mess. I was just free. By that evening, they had officially turned me into the villain. Started with a vague post from my mom on Facebook. Some people only show their true colors when you need them the most. Family should be there no matter what. The comments poured in. Distant aunts, old neighbors, people who hadn't seen us in years, all chiming in with sending love, hope everything's okay, and praying for strength. Not one of them knew what actually happened. They just took her word for it, because in their eyes she was still the doting mom of twins, not the woman who forgot one of them existed when it mattered most. I didn't comment. I didn't need to defend myself. But then Dad called. 3 times. Left 2 voicemails. The second one was shorter, more serious. Said I needed to call him before this got worse. Got worse. For whom? Because the only person who seemed to be suffering was Robert, sitting in a holding cell for his own stupidity. I looked it up myself. He had 2 unpaid fines and expired insurance. The accident wasn't even bad. A parking lot bump. But when the cops ran his name, they took him in. And somehow that was still my fault. The next day I came home from work and found my mother sitting on the front steps of my house. No call. No warning. She had her coat draped over her lap and looked like she'd been there a while. I didn't want to do this. Not again. But I walked up and said nothing, just unlocked the door. She followed me inside like it was her house. She stood in the middle of my living room like she didn't recognize it. Like she had forgotten I even lived there. He's your brother, Louisa. That's how she started. Not an apology. Not a question. Just a line that was supposed to mean something. He's my son. You think I wasn't hurt not seeing you on your birthday? You think we forgot? You didn't just forget. You threw him a party. Bought him a car. You pretended I didn't exist. She sighed like she was exhausted. Like I was being dramatic. We didn't mean for it to look that way. The party was Polly's idea. The car was something we'd been planning for months. You've always been so independent. We didn't think you needed all the extra stuff. There was. You're strong. You don't need anything. You're the one who survives without help, so we don't give it. I stared at her and realized I wasn't even angry anymore. Just empty. You think I wanted a car? I wanted a hug. A text. One person to say *happy birthday, Louisa. We're proud of you. *. She went quiet. You never asked for anything, she said finally. Because you trained me not to. She looked away. I could see it, the panic. The slow realization that she had nothing left to argue with. That I wasn't going to cave this time. Then she asked the one thing I'd been expecting. Can you please help get your brother out? I almost laughed. Actually did. A small, sharp laugh that came out before I could stop it. Oh. Just no. Let him sit. Let him figure it out. Let the golden child face the consequences for once in his life. She didn't cry. She didn't beg. She just stood there for another 10 seconds, maybe less, and then walked out the front door without a word. And I locked it behind her. 2 days of silence followed. Not from the outside world, no, they were still at it. I'd muted most of them, but screenshots still made their way to me. Someone tagged me in a post from one of Robert's old friends. Real family doesn't turn their back when it's inconvenient. Some people forget where they came from. Cute. I didn't answer. I didn't correct them. I didn't even feel the need to clear my name. I had nothing to prove to people who only saw what they wanted. But on Thursday morning something unexpected happened. A message from Robert. Not a guilt trip. Not anger. Just a long, weirdly quiet paragraph that started with "I know I've messed up." I didn't open it right away. I let it sit there. Made myself coffee. Took my time. When I finally read it, I almost didn't believe it was from him. He said he hadn't realized what was happening until Polly showed him all the messages after he got out. Said he was embarrassed. Said the party hadn't even been his idea and he hadn't known I wasn't invited until it was already happening. He said he thought I didn't care about birthdays, that I was too busy for that stuff. Said he saw the car as a guilt gift from mom and dad for putting up with their crap all these years. He admitted he always knew I helped out financially but never knew how much. Polly had apparently shown him the canceled payments. The cards. The accounts. Everything. Then came the part one didn't expect. You were the only one holding everything together. I think I knew it deep down, but I never wanted to say it because it made me feel pathetic. But I see it now. All of it. I stared at the screen for a while. I didn't know if I believed him. I didn't know if I wanted to. But it was the first time in my entire life that he'd said anything like that. The first time he saw me not as the reliable twin, the backup plan, the walking bank account, but as someone he'd wronged. So I didn't respond. Not yet. Not because I was trying to punish him, but because for the first time I was putting myself first. I went into the kitchen and started working on new pricing sheets for the holiday menu. I had orders coming in fast and needed to focus. I was halfway through updating the spreadsheet when my assistant, Jamie, walked in holding her phone. "Hey, there's someone at the counter asking for you." "Who?" "Some guy. Said his name is Caleb. Said he used to know you." I frowned. I hadn't heard that name in years. When I walked out front, he was standing there in a flannel shirt and beat-up sneakers, holding a coffee he hadn't touched. Took me a second to recognize him. From college. From before everything. We hadn't spoken in over a decade. He smiled awkwardly. Hey Louisa. Sorry to just show up like this. Your mom gave me the address. Said you might need a friend right now. I blinked. My mom? He nodded. She called me last night. Told me she messed up. That she didn't know how to fix it, but you might listen to someone who wasn't family. I didn't know what to say. She'd reached out to him? I hadn't thought about Caleb in so long. He was the one person who ever really believed in me back when I said I wanted to open a bakery. Everyone else thought it was cute. He said it was serious. I sat down with him. He didn't ask questions. Didn't bring up Robert or the car or the party. He just said, "You look like someone who needs to breathe." And somehow I did. Caleb and I talked for over an hour that day. Mostly about nothing. College. His move to Chicago. My bakery. Not once did he try to pry into the family drama. And maybe that's why I didn't shut down. When he left, he said something quiet as he stood at the door. You're not invisible, Louisa. You never were. They just refused to see you. That stuck with me. The next morning I woke up to chaos. Missed calls. Texts. A few DMs that didn't make sense at first. Then Polly called. Robert had been arrested again. This time it wasn't just unpaid fines. He'd gone back to the dealership to confront someone about the paperwork issues with the SUV. According to Polly, he got into an argument with the manager, shoved him, then tried to drive off even though his license had been temporarily suspended after the first arrest. The dealership pressed charges. Polly was sobbing on the phone. Louisa, please. I don't know what to do. He's not thinking straight. Your mom and dad are panicking. We don't have enough for bail. Can you help? She didn't even try to pretend this wasn't the second time in 1 week she'd begged me to clean up his mess. I stayed silent. Then she said something I'll never forget. This family needs you. You know we can't do this without you. I almost laughed. Exactly. They couldn't do this without me. They'd leaned on me for so long they forgot I was doing the heavy lifting. That I was the reason they didn't collapse sooner. I said one thing before I hung up. Then maybe it's time you learn how. I locked my phone and walked into the kitchen. There was a new order slip sitting on the counter. Someone had called in a big birthday cake for a girl turning 10. Rainbow layers. Buttercream frosting. Sparkles. I smiled and started mixing the batter. An hour later my mom showed up again. She looked worse this time. No makeup. Same coat from before. Her hands were shaking a little. Louisa, please. He's going to lose everything. A criminal record? Jail? This will ruin him. I leaned against the counter. I warned you. You chose him. Over and over. I gave everything I had to this family. Money. Time. Patience. You took it. You gave it all to Robert. You didn't even look at me unless something broke. He tried to cut in but I kept going. You forgot my birthday. You called someone from my past because you were too ashamed to face what you did. And now you're here because the person you bet everything on keeps failing. She didn't deny it. She just stood there blinking too fast like she couldn't believe I was really saying it. Like she hadn't expected the wall she'd leaned on for years to finally walk away. I didn't kick her out. She left on her own this time. No more messages came after that. Robert stayed in jail for a few days until someone, maybe Polly's parents, posted bail. I didn't ask. I didn't check. That Sunday I stood in my kitchen with my staff, decorating cakes while music played low in the background. The sun was coming through the windows just right. And for the first time in a long time I didn't feel used. Or invisible. Or guilty. I felt free. And no one would ever make me forget my worth again.